Hello.
Ahoy!
Welcome to episode 8 of Bottom of the Stream.
Back again.
A week's gone by.
Yeah.
We've watched a film and we're going to sit and talk about this film.
Yes. So, we had Don't Kill It last week.
Yeah, seemed to go down well.
We pretty much enjoyed.
Yeah, I think so. Middling.
Mid-table.
Middling is how I would describe it. It did end up mid-table, yeah.
Yeah, well, let's see what we can find this week.
If you want to follow us on Twitter, it is at BOTS_podcast. The Instagram is the same. Facebook.com/bottomofthestream. Bottomofthestream.podbean.com is the website, and bottomofthestream@gmail.com is the email address. I'm getting really good at that.
Yeah, I know. Pro. Complete pro.
I'm going to make you do it one week.
Yeah, fine. Challenge accepted. So, Adam, what have we got this week?
This week, we are talking about Murder Party.
Now, just going from title alone, surely it's made for this podcast.
Yeah, you would think so. I've never heard of it before. I don't think anybody else has. It's 12 years old.
Okay.
It's from 2007. It's 15. It's the shortest film we've reviewed so far. It is only 79 minutes long.
I would also say...
It's shorter than an episode of Game of Thrones.
Yeah. I would also say it is by far the smallest budget film that we have watched.
I would be surprised if there's a film on Netflix that has a lower budget than this.
Okay.
It has to be. I actually did some research. The budget for the film was somewhere between $180,000 and $230,000.
Okay.
So it's not a lot.
No, not at all.
There's pennies in the turn. If you think of some film budgets, it's literally a drop in the ocean.
So yeah, it'll be interesting to get into this one, I think. Yeah,
definitely. It's an interesting one. Director is a guy called Jeremy Saulnier.
And this was his first film?
This was his first film. He was everybody in this film and the director are like a film class who make their own. They've been friends for a long time. They made their own little film studio and made their own little films. This is the first one that really made it. Have you heard of Jeremy Saulnier before?
No, I had not before we looked at this film, but I also did a little bit of reading, and it did quickly become apparent that he is a director of another film which is on our list.
Oh, really?
Which may come out at some point in the future.
That's interesting.
Which is a film called Hold the Dark, which is a Netflix film, which just came out last year, actually. Don't really want to say too much about it because if we end up watching it,
I'm sure we will at some point.
Months down the line or whatever, we can maybe refer back to what we thought of Murder Party.
He also went on in 2015 to direct a film called Green Room.
Okay.
Which is a really good little horror thriller.
You've seen that?
I've seen it, yeah.
So what's
it's called Green Room. It's about a rock band who get trapped in a green room by a band of angry Nazis. It's like a Nazi rock club, and this innocent little rock band go and play there and get attacked, and they get locked in this green room.
And they kind of have to scrap their way out.
Basically, yeah. It's really well. It's got like a bit of a cult following now. It's rated at 7 out of 10 on IMDb, which for IMDb is a big rating. And yeah, he went on to direct that. So check that out as well, because it's really good. He's also done a couple of episodes of True Detective. So he's doing all right for himself when you consider that he made this.
So I struggled somewhat with this film.
Yeah, me too.
So
before we go, then give me your one-word review. I know you've got one ready.
Baffling.
Yeah, I would go with that. It's pretty weird.
Yeah, we'll talk about ultimately what we thought of it as we go along.
Yeah.
Do you know what I try and do when I'm watching these? I've sort of always got in the back of my head, I wonder what Ad's thinking of this.
I do the same thing. I must admit, I always think, I wonder what Nick's thinking.
And I think mostly so far, what I've thought you would think of the film has been pretty much what I thought you would think of the film.
Yeah.
And in this case, I've no idea what you're going to think of it.
Interesting. Okay.
Because on paper, a Halloween film called Murder Party with a guy in a cardboard night costume should be right up your street.
Yeah, it should. I agree.
And I'm not sure it's going to pan out like that.
Maybe not. But it should. You're right. That as soon as I saw it come out, I was excited. The poster's interesting. Poster's fun. The synopsis is good. It looks like it's going to be a really good film. It's got the word party in the title. So you think, this could be a fun little murdery film.
That actually undersells it because there's several parties.
True, yeah.
through the course of this. And I will say, this film was not what I expected.
No, not at all.
So when we picked it out and we read the synopsis, I think there was even the word like, it was obviously going to be some kind of black comedy.
Yeah.
And, I think the synopsis even said hilarity ensues.
It does, yeah.
And I was expecting quite a light-hearted but gory sort of. Have you ever seen like the early Peter Jackson stuff, like Brain Dead and stuff like that? And that's kind of what I had in my mind, sort of low budget. And I struggled to find the laughs in this.
Yeah, there's a couple.
Yeah,
it did make me laugh a couple of times. One point really made me laugh.
This was a lot darker than I was expecting.
Yeah, it was grim,
but it was brutal in parts as well.
There's not a lot of party in the murder party.
So that really surprised me. But I thought it had some really creative bits to it. I think, as we talk about it, I'm still going to be deciding what I thought of it. Yeah.
Okay, let's go.
Yeah.
So you start off, the very first shot of the film is a Halloween on a door. Halloween is a pumpkin on a doorstep, which is obviously a shout out to Halloween, and also gives you a shout out, gives you an idea that the film's set at Halloween.
Yes.
Which it is. It's not a Christmas film, for a change. It's a Halloween film.
Yeah, we're getting around the holidays slowly.
Through the years. Yeah. Then you get some shots of the town and people doing trick-or-treating, with some really badly photoshopped glow effect credits coming across. Look, when I do the posters for each film that we do, it looks like I've made it. I've written that down. This looks like I made this. I'm really not very good at Photoshop, and nor were the people who made the credits for this film. Incidentally, the opening credit sequence was shot before the script was written for the film.
Okay, that is interesting. so these guys were literally putting this together at weekends.
Yeah, they've chucked some money in and they're putting it together as they can.
As they can afford it.
Yeah.
So we meet who we later found out our lead character is called Chris.
Yep, Chris in real life and Chris in the film.
Yes. So is it Chris Sharp who plays
Chris Sharp plays Christopher Hawley.
Oh, there you go. And he's going to the video store.
Yes, because it's Halloween. He's going to have a night on his own watching some horror films.
Yeah, so he's going to rent some horror films on proper VHS.
Yeah, old school.
Yeah. So he's walking those... so he rents the films and he's walking back to his place and the wind kicks up and an invitation sort of...
Lands at his feet,
doesn't he? So he picks it up and opens it. As you would.
Yeah.
And it's an invitation to a murder party tonight.
Yeah.
With an address.
So I might pick it up and read it. I'm not sure I'd do what he does, but anyway. So he gets home, decides he's going to watch one of the films.
Yeah. Goes
to sit down, but his cat's in his chair.
I really like this. So he's got one chair in his living room.
Yeah.
Well, it's a tiny little box room, isn't it? So there's TV in the corner. Because there's a ratty armchair in the corner. And he goes to sit down and his cat's there. His cat's was called Sir Lancelot.
Yeah.
And I thought this was quite a good scene setting bit because this guy is so much of a loser that even his cat won't move out of his chair for him.
So he asks the cat to move and it doesn't.
Yeah.
So he gives up on watching the film and makes a cake instead.
Yeah. So he takes the mush out of the smushed pumpkin on the doorstep, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And he makes pumpkin bread.
Yes.
Because it's obviously the gift that he's going to take with him now he's decided to attend this
party that he's found an invite for in the street that isn't addressed to anybody. From this point on, the whole film is the cat's fault, because if the cat hadn't moved...
Do you think he'd have stayed?
He'd have stayed at home and watched all three of those films that he'd rented. So the whole film's the cat's fault.
So as the bread's cooking, he goes... I was going to say upstairs, but I'm not sure he's got an upstairs.
I think it was just a different room.
He goes into a different room and he starts... he pulls out a perfectly good monster costume from a box that says Halloween costumes.
Yeah.
Throws that to one side and then cuts into all these cardboard boxes that he has.
Really creatively.
To make a cardboard knight costume.
Yeah, he makes
he's got a sword, he's got a helmet, he's got armour.
Yeah, it was really good. I was impressed with him. So this guy's creative.
And that's it. He's off out.
He's off out to the party. Leaves the cat, leaves some sweets on the doorstep for the trick-or-treaters, and off he pops.
It takes him bloody ages to walk to this party.
Yep. It really did. Yeah.
And look, I'm being uber critical here. It's a really short film.
79 minutes.
And there's at least 3 sequences in this film that were blatantly just padding. Yeah. And this was one of them.
Yeah, you're right.
So they probably all told, I'll point out the other 2 when we get there, all told probably 10 minutes to this film.
I think you're right. It didn't move at pace, really, at any point, but there are parts where it's really slow. And there are parts of it that are really boring.
Yeah, and that seems crazy to say that for a film that's
Yeah.
75 minutes long.
It does, but it's very true. So anyway, eventually he finds his way into a warehouse where he finds a weird cast of characters.
Yeah. So I think I've got down who these people are.
Okay, I didn't take any names. I've just got them all as nicknames.
So he walks in and there's 3 men and 2 women.
Yeah.
And lots of weapons on the floor.
Yes.
So there's like an axe, chainsaw.
Yeah, baseball bat.
Yeah, loads,
all sorts of
and load of sort of plastic tarp.
Yes.
On the floor. So there's Paul, who's dressed up as the Victorian vampire, sort of Tom Cruise out of Interview with a Vampire costume. There's Sky, who's a cheerleader, zombie cheerleader. There's Lexi, who's dressed as Pris from Blade Runner.
Yeah.
And there is William, who's... I didn't really understand what he was dressed at, with the baseball player with the face paint.
Yeah, I didn't get it, but he was a baseball player with an orange face.
He's like in a Yankees jersey, isn't he?
It's probably some sort of American reference we're not getting.
And then
if anybody knows, let us know.
Yeah, and then there's Nathan, who's he's not really dressed up. He's just in a hoodie, but he's got a werewolf mask on, which he occasionally pulls down. Yeah. So they're surprised to see Chris turn up.
Yeah, they're surprised to see anybody turn up. They've obviously been planning
something,
and they were waiting for somebody to turn up, and somebody did turn up.
So they really badly attack Chris.
Yeah. Like, and he's well outnumbered,
but they don't know what they're doing.
They don't know what they're doing. They're a bunch. They've thrown this murder party. It turns out. I'm going to skip ahead a little bit.
That's fine,
because they want to kill somebody in the name of art.
Yeah, they're all students.
They're all art students, and they want to kill somebody in the name of art. So, but they're not prepared for it. Although at one point they said they've been preparing for it for months.
Yeah, they've been put up to it by someone else who will come into this. This tale. Yeah, they. Nathan, who's dressed as Wolf, he goes to swing an axe at Chris, and it gets like caught on a light switch, doesn't it? So that's the first sort of hilarity of how incompetent these people are.
Yeah.
And with a great deal of difficulty, they manage to sort of subdue Chris and tie him to a chair.
Yeah, they eventually get him tied up.
Where he pretty much, without, apart from a couple of exceptions, remains until the last 15 minutes of the film. Tied to this chair and probably says 3 words.
Yeah, he doesn't have a lot more to say in the film.
So the students say that it comes out that they're waiting for someone else to come along, who is a guy called Alexander, who you presume is the guy who set them up for this. So tutor, teacher, something like that.
Mentor.
And then what happens? We have our first
accident. Fatality. So Sky, who's the girl dressed as the cheerleader, decides she's going to eat some of Chris's pumpkin bread that he's made.
Not a euphemism.
No, it's not. He made some pumpkin bread. She's going to eat it. But unfortunately, Sky is allergic to raisins, which who knew that was a thing? And she eats it, realises it's allergic. It's got raisins in, so he needs to have a bit of a sit down. Has a bit of a sit down, falls off the chair, and gets her head impaled on a spike. I didn't catch what it was. It was a bit of old machinery, I think. It was.
Yeah, it was like a broken off sort of axle or something like that, or drive shaft, or
it was a part of a bit of machinery.
I actually had to stop. I think stop and rewind it and check that I'd seen it, because it happened that quickly.
It did. It was a proper.
And it was really well done.
Yeah, it was really well done, that bit.
And she sits back up again, and her head's like pouring with blood. And what did she say? Can you smell almonds? Or something like that.
And then she's done.
Which did make me chuckle a bit. And that's it. She's dead. And this makes Nathan, the werewolf costume guy, go crazy.
Yeah.
Because obviously things have took a left turn somewhat, and he throws acid in Chris' face.
Yes.
He's shouting, he's raving, he's just seen his friend die in front of him. Yes. Throws all this acid in Chris's face, and nothing happens.
No, because it's just vinegar.
Yeah.
It's acetic acid, which is just vinegar. I've written at this point, this is fucking weird, because I wasn't understanding what was going on.
We already at this point we're having sort of, this isn't what I expected.
Yeah, even early doors, I knew straight away this isn't what I was expecting it to be. But it was interesting. I'm interested. I'm still intrigued at this point. So they hide Sky's body because they know Alexander's coming.
Yeah,
and he wouldn't be happy with her.
This clearly wasn't part of the plan.
Definitely wasn't part of the plan. He wouldn't be happy with a dead cheerleader in his loft. So they hide her in a freezer, chest freezer,
very conveniently.
That's just placed there.
Chest freezer, yeah. And Alexander arrives. But he's not on his own. He's got his dog.
Yeah.
Who has a great name, Hellhammer.
Hellhammer, great name for a dog.
And he's got a Russian gangster with him.
Yes,
called
Zyko.
Zyko,
Great name. Zyko the Psycho.
He was a gangster / drug dealer.
Yeah, Russian
/
stereotypical
fish
Russian.
and chips obsessive.
Yeah, he was well into fish and chips.
He doesn't shut up about having fish and
The whole
chips.
film for ages. That's when it comes out that they're all artists after Alexander's grant money.
And this guy is a total piece of shit,
Yeah,
Alexander. So he turns
He's a
up,
dirtbag.
he bullies Paul, who's in his Victorian vampire costume, makes him take it all off,
Yeah,
piece by piece.
Yeah.
So he says, take your Victorian vampire shirt off.
yeah.
Take your Victorian vampire trousers off.
Yeah.
And so he's down to just like his t-shirt and some very spangly pants.
Yeah.
For no reason. Just
Spangly's a good word. I like that.
He doesn't do it for any reason other than he's an absolute arsehole.
Yeah.
And they tell him that Sky hasn't turned up.
Yeah. That she's not appeared.
And as at this point Alex says, well, she's not going to get any of the grant money then.
Yeah.
And he's saying he's got like $500,000.
He said 300 grand to start with, and then
Yeah.
it went up to 500,000.
Yeah. And he's prepared to give this either to one of them or to all of them for the most creative murder. He
Yes.
says.
He keeps calling everybody a dildo, which I found quite funny.
Yeah.
All the way through, he was calling people dildos. I did enjoy that.
I quite
It's a good
like
insult.
I quite like the line when he said, I want whatever we do tonight, when the coroner comes and he's trying to find the cause of death, I want the certificate to say cause of death, art.
Yeah.
And he decides that they will wait till midnight.
Yeah, the witching hour.
Yeah. And then they will kill
Halloween.
Chris.
Yeah. But that seems to be quite a long time away. And now they've got some time to kill.
Yeah. So they've all agreed they're going to do this at midnight. Some of them are much more enthusiastic about this than others.
Yeah.
And there's then a good 2 minutes where as they're discussing what kind of takeaway to get,
Yeah.
Chris escapes.
Chris gets out while they're deciding what to have for dinner.
He doesn't get very far
Nope. There's a bit of a comedy chase following.
through a load of cardboard boxes.
Yeah. And a man with a plug-in chainsaw, which genuinely made me laugh a couple of times in this film.
So that is Nathan, the werewolf guy.
He's got a chainsaw, but it
that's
has
his
to be
weapon of
plugged
choice.
in to
Yeah.
work. I love that. That did make me laugh.
Chris ends up in a store cupboard.
Yeah.
And he looks around and it's sort of from his point of view, and you think, oh, I think this is about to kick off here because there's fire extinguishers, there's a hacksaws, and there's loads of stuff in there that he could use
as a
to
weapon.
try and find his way out. And then it cuts to the outside of the store cupboard, the door bursts open, and he's got all this stuff in his hands, and he just kind of drops them at his feet and goes, bah!
And then runs away and gets past them all.
Yeah. So they capture him again and tie him up again, he's back in the chair.
Yeah. There are funny moments in this film. That's a funny little moment.
I think my issues are more with the last 15 to 20 minutes of this
I
film.
agree.
They tie him back up and then they just start to have a party.
Yeah, the Russian guy declares that he's bored.
Yes.
I know how he feels. And so he decides he's going to inject them all with a truth serum.
Yeah, so it turns out he's got a toiletry bag full of truth serum.
Yeah.
KGB style.
Yeah, as you do. So they all sit in a circle and inject themselves with truth serum so they can have a bit of a, not truth or dare, but just truth or truth.
But Alex doesn't take it.
No.
He pretends to take it.
Yes.
But he injects it into some pizza instead.
Yeah. Chris ends up getting injected as well.
Yeah. There's nothing really comes from the truth of that. Apart from Nathan, who's the wolf guy, declares his love for Lexi, who's the Blade Runner girl. But we already
could knew
tell
that anyway. Yeah. It goes on for ages. Yeah. And this is another point where this film is boring. Nothing happens, but it goes on for a long time.
Then they do a load of coke.
Yeah.
So they party a bit more. Chris passes out.
Yeah. He
that
revealed
goes on
before
for
that,
a long time.
Yeah, it does. He revealed before that he used to work for the cops, or he does work for the cops.
Yeah, he's basically like a traffic warden.
Yeah. And he wants to shit himself. That was another one of his truths that he revealed.
Yes, he did, yeah.
And no one would miss him if he died.
Yeah.
No, I think they were his free.
So he's not in a good place.
No, he's in a bad place in his life.
Like
anyway.
before this happened.
Before this happened, yeah.
Before he turned up to this murder party. So they're doing all the drugs, they're partying. So William, who's the guy dressed in a baseball costume, he starts to do some painting. They are actually, after all, they are all artists.
Yeah.
He goes outside to check on Hellhammer at Alex's request, and then they all just stand around slagging William's painting off.
Yeah, laughing at his painting.
And William, throughout this, has not been very involved with everything. No, he's sitting playing on his
he's the quiet one in the corner that's not really doing anything.
But you can see through it, his rage is starting to build. And he kind of comes back in and hears the tail end of them slagging his painting off. So he lobs it away, doesn't he? And he's in a funk.
He's not a happy chappy.
Alex sends the Psycho to get some more drugs.
Yep.
And then Paul, the vampire guy, his assistant turns up. Just out of nowhere. So it turns out he's a photographer.
Yeah.
So his assistant turns up to help set up the lighting and everything to capture as we're approaching the witching hour to capture the murder. And that is most of the first hour.
Yeah.
There's a lot not happening.
Yeah. It takes ages for any of that to really happen, but we get there.
And then things kick off because Nathan goes outside for a smoke.
He's the werewolf mask man. Forgetting that he just covered himself in alcohol.
And vinegar.
Then he goes outside for a smoke and accidentally sets himself on fire.
Yeah. So it takes him quite a while to work out what's happening.
Yeah.
One of the girls goes out to check on him.
Yeah.
They find him burning, so it's Lexi. She comes back in, takes a fire extinguisher out, puts him out. Her and the photographer's assistant pull him back in. And what do they see?
His mask has melted to his face.
And now I thought his makeup was incredible.
It was.
For a low budget
movie.
It was horrific.
He basically turned into a burned werewolf.
Yeah.
His mask was merged with his own face. It was horrible. But yeah, it changed his character completely, as it would. And he basically becomes this crazed werewolf guy for the rest of the film.
William, whilst he was out there, and this is the sort of pivot for everything going to hell even more.
Yeah.
He went outside to check on the dog, like I say, and he has untied the dog.
Yeah.
Which they had tied up outside. So Hellhammer, the dog, comes back in. And he starts sniffing around the freezer straight away.
Yeah.
So Alex opens the freezer, finds Sky, and everything kicks off now.
Yeah.
Because Paul, who's the vampire guy, he whacks some truth serum in Alex.
Yeah, Alex gets hit with a truth serum at this point.
And it comes out that he's just a fry cook. Yeah. He hasn't got any grant money.
He's a fraud.
And he's looking to just as many people to die here as possible, and he's going to try and sell it as art.
Yeah, he's looking to kill them all and sell them as art.
Basically make some kind of snuff movie was what I kind of got from it.
And his real name's Tim.
Yes. So Zyko just comes back at this point with his fish and chips, and Alex, who's still under the influence of the truth serum, says, shoot them all.
Yeah. So he does.
Shooting starts.
He shoots Paul, the vampire guy, who dies instantly.
Burnt werewolf Nathan wakes up.
Yeah.
So he's going crazy. Hellhammer, the dog, picks up the drugs.
Yeah.
And starts eating all
the drugs.
Massive bag of drugs.
Yeah.
So this dog is pinging his tits off. Lexi and Zyko wrestle. Nathan, the melted face wolf guy, chainsaws Zyko in the face.
Yeah.
He's got his chainsaw plugged in.
Yeah. Chops his leg off as well.
Yeah. So he goes to rescue Lexi.
We're saying this like it's quite funny. This is quite dark at this point.
So and this is kind of the sort of thing I would expect to happen, in that it was all going to end in a bloodbath.
Yeah.
But it wasn't funny.
No, it wasn't. It was
brutal.
Really brutal. And like last week we had Don't Kill It, and they had that comedy scene of the demon possessing everybody, and that was funny. This isn't funny.
No.
It's
dark.
It's really dark.
And I don't know if that's...
I'm
glad you saw it the same as I did.
I don't think it's intentional. I think they were going for laughs and didn't get them. Well, they didn't get them from me.
The funniest bits in these were the good lines, where it was good bits of dialogue or bits of scripting.
Yeah.
None of this slapstick murdery stuff felt funny to me.
It's too brutal. There's too much blood. There's too much effect to it.
Do you think that, like, we talked about how good the makeup was? Is it too good?
I think it is too good. And
the same when people are getting chainsawed and axed. And,
yeah.
Because it doesn't pull away any of these shots with the camera.
It's a gore fest. It's like, there's points where it's almost at hostile levels, and it's not funny. It's not funny. There's bits of it that are funny, but the killing and the brutality of it are not. And I think that's where it misses.
It's creative.
Yeah. I'm not denying that. But it didn't achieve what it was trying to achieve.
And for what it was, for being made on such a small budget, it's a real achievement.
Yeah, definitely.
But it's, like I said at the start, it's really not what I expected.
No,
and
I agree.
I don't know if I didn't enjoy it as much because I had developed my own expectation. Yeah. But I didn't enjoy it as much as I thought I was going to when this came out of the pot.
You see a film like this come up and you think, I know what this is. This is going to be a dark comedy and I'm going to laugh at the death scenes and things. And it misses. You just don't. But this should be my sort of film, and I shouldn't be saying this sort of thing. But it missed the point to me.
So the next couple of things that happen. So Lexi tries to free Chris, who's still
Yep.
tied to the chair. She then gets axed.
Axed in the back of the head.
So initially I thought it was Nathan who'd done it,
Yeah, I did as well.
but it wasn't.
No.
It was William.
Yeah, the baseball guy.
And to use one of your phrases, he's gone batshit crazy.
Yeah, it's gone batshit crazy.
The dog, Hellhammer, mauls Alex.
Yeah.
So he's gone as well, I think, now.
Yeah, I think the dog kills him.
So the only people we're left with are Chris, who's our innocent party goer.
He was not expecting any of this when he made his pumpkin loaf.
William, the baseball player.
Yeah.
And Nathan,
The werewolf.
guy.
The werewolf guy. Down to three.
So there is now a chase scene.
Yep. They get onto the roof, don't they?
Yeah, eventually. There's a little sort of comedy bit involving a conveyor belt.
Oh yeah, that is quite good when Chris escapes up the conveyor belt and turns it so it's heading the right way so he can climb up it easier. And then
William heads after him
and it reverses and he just falls back down.
Yeah, Chris just turns it the other way, which is quite funny.
Yeah, I did find that bit quite funny.
So yeah, there's a bit of a rooftop chase, which again went on for a bit longer than it should. Chris gets a couple of buildings over and he's into another party, isn't he?
Yeah.
Into a club. And it turns out he's at another art gallery.
Yeah.
Just can't get away from
We're in the
art.
art district, obviously. The werewolf guy is chasing him with the plug-in chainsaw again.
Yeah.
Even though he's running across
not plugged in.
It's not plugged in. That did make me laugh. There's a couple of bits in the next few minutes that there was one scene where I almost cried. It was so funny, but it just got me. And I'll tell you when we get there.
Okay, well,
He stumbles across another party, another art gallery.
yeah. And Bill follows him in.
Yeah. Oh, we're there. We're there now because he screams, I need a cell phone, I need a cell phone, I need a cell phone. And then he goes onto the staircase and there's a man dressed as a cell phone.
That was, yeah.
I loved
that. was a good sight gag, yeah.
I loved that. It was so funny. I don't know if it was just the
And
light relief I needed at that point.
Deadpans it, doesn't he?
Yeah,
just stares at the guy.
Yeah, it just stares at him. I don't think that was the light relief I needed at that point, I think, but I loved that.
Chris goes through this art gallery, doesn't he? He sort of crashes past the security guard.
Yeah.
Because there's like some sort of installation about to open.
Yeah, it looks like it.
And he goes into a small white room. There's 5 or 6 people in there?
Yeah, a couple of women, a couple of blokes.
Yeah, in various states of undress, and they've all been body painted. So they are the art.
Yeah, they are, yeah.
And William's not too far behind him. Turns out William knows the guy who is a fellow student who is running this art installation. And so he lets him in. He finds his way into the room again where Chris is. And he's still got the axe.
Yeah.
He brutally murders everyone who's in the room.
Yeah. It's brutal. Again, it's brutal. And he proper axes everybody.
Yeah.
The effects are brilliant for such a low budget film. But yeah, again, it wasn't funny.
I get this film is trying to say something about, I know there's you could get quite meta. This film is a piece of art. It is trying to say.
Yeah, probably.
What is art? What isn't art?
Yeah.
Is someone's life art? What?
Yeah.
I get all that.
Yeah.
It still didn't help me.
No, it missed.
In how I enjoyed this. He kills everyone brutally in this room.
Except for Chris.
Except for Chris.
So the werewolf guy, Nathan,
yeah,
he's still on the roof. And he finds a place to plug his chainsaw in finally.
I didn't understand why he plugged it in on the roof, because he's miles behind these two.
Yeah. And he just thinks, oh, there's a plug, I'll plug it in.
Because he wants to kill William, because William killed Lexi, who he was in love with. But yeah, he's just stopped to plug this chainsaw in. So was he intending to go after the other people who were at the party?
I don't know what he was planning. Because as soon as he
plugs he's got a melted werewolf face on, so he might not have been
thinking straight. Because as soon as he plugs it in, he falls off the roof anyway.
Yeah.
Literally, he plugs it in, falls backwards off the roof. The chainsaw hangs from its cord in front of the window that happens to be the window of the room that Chris and baseball boy William that they happen to be in.
Yeah. So
Chris grabs the chainsaw through the window and brutally murders William again.
So it's a small, as Ad says, a small plug-in chainsaw.
Yeah.
It takes quite a while.
Yeah.
To quite graphically chainsaw William's head.
Yeah. He slices him from the shoulder down through his chest for a long time. And then he puts a pumpkin on his head.
Yeah.
Because that's funny.
And then he walks home.
Yeah, then he just walks home. There's the people who have come to visit the art installation come in and look at it and think, oh, that's
and there's that,
that's a nice art. Oh, yeah, it's lovely. But nobody really realises what's going on. Oh, there's another funny scene where Chris walks out of there and he takes the guy's the security guard's cell phone and dials 911 and said, "It's for you," which I thought was quite good. Enjoyed that. But yeah, he just walks home. You get a few morning after shots of Halloween shots of smashed pumpkins on the floor.
So he stops sort of beside a river, doesn't he? And he reaches in his pocket and he pulls his pills out.
Yes.
You can't see what's on them, but I think, again, from what we said earlier on, he's not in a good place in his life, Chris.
Yeah.
And it's obviously implied that these are some kind of antidepressants.
Yeah, I think so.
And he just lobs them in the river.
Yeah.
Because he's got a whole different perspective on life.
It's changed his life. This moment in time.
And he makes his way back to his flat.
Yep.
Cat's still sat in his chair.
Cat's still sat in his chair, but this time it moves when he asks it to.
Yeah. And he sits down.
And we're done.
Yeah.
That is the end of Murder Party.
I've no idea how to rate this.
No, I've not. This should have been a good, dark comedy film. And play it a little bit less brutal. It could be right up there on our list. But it missed the point for me. It was not funny enough. And there was parts of it that were really boring.
And I'm not particularly sensitive to violence.
No, I'm not. I love a violent film.
But loads of this was
too much.
So unnecessary.
Yeah.
And
it angered me a little bit.
Yeah.
Which I don't want from it. That's not why I watch a film.
But there were some creative ideas in it.
Yeah,
and
it
was interesting.
It does play for a few laughs.
It was, and I couldn't possibly have it on the level of something like The Open House, which was just so derivative and paint by numbers, and
it's completely different from anything we've seen.
This was trying things.
Yeah. And it is one of those low budget film school films that comes out every so often. And it's done really well to make it onto Netflix and become this. It obviously has a cult following for it to be on there.
Yeah.
But I don't know, it's just not for me. And I really thought it would be. I'm really, really surprised and really annoyed that it isn't, because I wanted a lot more from it.
I can't imagine saying to anyone,
no,
sit down and watch this film.
No.
This will be entertaining for an hour and 20 minutes.
No. I think you'd sit at the end and you'd go, like we have, wow, what is this? Yeah, I mean, me and you have sat and watched a lot of films together in our time. If we'd have watched this together, I think we'd have probably had the same reaction. And we'd have got to the end and we're like, that was completely not what I was expecting. We watched...
Do you know what? I mean, obviously, we're doing that. We're watching these so we can do this podcast. There was a couple of points on this where I think I might have turned this off.
Yeah, I think if we weren't doing it for the podcast, I think I probably would have as well. Just
because that's how out of nowhere and how unnecessary some of these shots were in this film.
Yeah, it tried to be something and it failed to be it.
It just didn't resonate with me.
No, it didn't for me either. And I'm a little bit disappointed because I really wanted it to. And it's a good premise for a film. And I like those sort of dark comedy. Like we were talking the other week about Tucker and Dale versus Evil. This is a very similar type of film to that, with its dark comedy and brutal murders and stuff. But that got it right, whereas this doesn't.
Yeah. I'm still just very mixed. I thought, like I say, it had some good lines. There's
some good one-liners. That bit with the cell phone was probably the most I've laughed at any of the films we've watched.
For what is essentially a homemade film.
Yeah.
It's a real achievement. Again, because of the makeup. It's pretty well written. The dialogue is, at least, if not the, plot. It's pretty well acted.
Yeah.
Everyone's good in it.
Considering none of them are really...
Well, I nearly turned it off on a couple of occasions. It's really strange.
It is, yeah, I agree with you. It's the strangest film we've watched, and I don't think I can recommend it to anybody unless you're really into dark horror. And it was not even horror, dark films. I can't even describe it. I don't know how I describe it.
I can appreciate the work and the creativity that went into it, but this film did not entertain me.
No, I agree. I think that's a good place to end.
Yeah. So where are we going to put it?
Where are we going to put it on the stream table? Currently, shall I go through it all again? I'll go through it all again.
Go on then.
Little Evil's at number 1.
Yeah.
It's nowhere near that.
No.
Bates at number 2. Nowhere near that. I Think We're Alone Now. It's at number 3.
Yeah.
Nowhere near that. Don't Kill It. Last week's episode is at number 4.
It's not as good as Don't Kill It.
It's not as good as Don't Kill It. This is where it becomes interesting. Is it as good as Await Forever Instructions? Because that film was batshit crazy. This film's batshit crazy. Where does it go? It's got a bit... The Open House is a worse film. So it's above The Open House. The thing we've got to decide is, where does it sit either side of Await Further Instructions.
Right, this is going to be tricky because I enjoyed watching Await Further Instructions more, but I think Murder Party is a better film. Better, it's a more creative film. It's more... Yeah, it is a more creative film.
When you started talking then, I didn't know what you were going to say, and I didn't know where I stood on it either, but I disagree.
Oh.
I think Await Further Instructions is a better, more creative film.
Do you?
Yeah.
Do you know why I'm saying it's not... why I've fallen like that is because I feel that Murder Party knows what it is, and it sticks to it throughout, whereas Await Further Instructions is all over the place.
Yeah, that's true. But what...
I'm not particularly bothered if it goes above or below it, but it depends how you want to judge it. I enjoyed Await Further Instructions more.
Yeah. And...
But if you wanted to have a...
Await Further Instructions is
what's a better achievement?
Than Murder Party. It just is.
Which one would I... If you... Alright, I suppose. If you said to me, you've got to watch one of them again, I'd watch Await Further Instructions.
At no point while you were watching Await Further Instructions did you want to turn it off?
No.
Did you?
No.
I think Murder Party comes in at number 6.
Okay, I'll go with that. Because I don't like it enough to argue its case.
Sierra Burgess's Illusion is definitely staying at the bottom. And if we ever find a worse film than that, I'll be amazed. Open House the Murder Party is a better film than Open House. But it is not a better film than The Await Further Instructions. So, Murder Party in at number 6 on the stream table.
Congratulations or commiserations, I don't know.
6 out of 8. It's bottom wrong. So that's the end of this week's. Do you want to decide next week's film?
Yes, let's do it.
Let me find the app. We'll press the button. We have got Cube.
Cube, excellent.
Now, Cube is a little bit different.
Yeah.
Because...
So, I can't remember which one of us... I think we had a conversation, didn't we, a few weeks ago?
Yeah.
When we were adding stuff to the list.
We debated for a long time whether Cube deserves to be on the list or not.
Because we've seen it.
Because we've both seen it before. And we both watched it together a long, long time ago. I reckon...
What year is Cube from?
Cube's 1997.
Right, okay.
I think this is possibly the first film me and you ever watched together.
I have no idea.
I remember watching it in your house when we were young. But Cube is a 1997 film, so by far the oldest film we've watched. It is on Netflix, and it is a really... Nobody knows it's there. So it is at the bottom of the stream. It completely fills all of our criteria to be allowed to be reviewed on bottom of the stream. But it is a little bit different in the fact that we've both seen it before.
But I have not seen this film for
probably 20 years.
Yeah. Well, what did you say? It's 22 years old.
Years old.
Yeah, I bet I've not seen it for 15 to 20 years.
No.
So, I think I'm quite happy that's come out. I'll be quite interested to...
Yeah, definitely. So I'm going to read you the synopsis anyway. So it says, 6 complete strangers of widely varying personality characteristics are involuntarily placed in an endless maze containing deadly traps. I'm going to play the audio from the trailer at this point, which is something new.
Cube. 26 rooms high, 26 rooms across.
17,576 rooms.
Does anybody remember how they got here?
Why would they throw innocent people in here? Are we being punished?
There's a way in here, so there's gotta be a way out.
Do you think they'd go to all the trouble to build this thing if we could just walk out?
Take a good long look around. Because I got a feeling it's looking at us.
We have about 3 days without food and water before we're too weak to move.
I just want to wake up.
I looked in the room down there and something almost cut my head off.
Motion detectors integrated into the walls. Tough to spot.
You're not getting out of here.
Yes, we are!
There is no way out of here!
We need to get around the trap.
They're identified by prime numbers.
Figure it out.
I can't!
I'm not dying in a rat maze!
No more talking. No more guessing. You gotta save yourselves from yourselves.
What the hell's going on?
We haven't been moving in circles, the rooms have.
We are the key.
It's us.
So, the first thing I want to say about that trailer is it is the most 90s film trailer ever made. It is really 90s, and it gives a lot of the film away.
Yeah.
So, it's going to be interesting.
I've obviously got in my mind a sort of vague memory of
Yeah.
what I thought of it
Yeah.
15, 20 years ago. So,
It's going to be an interesting one to watch, but
yeah.
so come back next week.
We'll talk Cube.
We'll talk Cube. See you then.
Cheers.
Bye.